Welcome to the College Admissions Collaborative, highlighting engineering and technology virtual college fair. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Before we get started with our presentation, just a few quick housekeeping items to go over. The first is that attendees are welcome and encouraged to ask questions to the panelists utilizing the Q&A feature. Also, just a reminder that your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists will not be able to see or hear you. And there are additional sessions this evening, as well as more sessions tomorrow. So if you haven't signed up for those, please feel free to do so. And about 1 week from today, a recording of this session will be available on that same registration website. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our panelists.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Studying STEM or STEM Opportunities in Upstate New York. We are really excited to be with you today, and hopefully this session brings you some good and exciting and interesting knowledge. I am going to be moderating and also presenting. My name is Alex, and I am from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. I am joined by my colleagues Mark from RIT, Jonathan from Syracuse, Paige from Clarkson, and Susie from Union. Our hope is that this session will be well worth your time, and we hope that you get a lot out of these 45 minutes. If we don't get to all of your questions, we're going to try, but if we don't, we will follow up with you. So let's start out with an intro of New York. There is a lot of space to New York, far beyond New York City, and as representatives of upstate New York colleges, but also just as people who love upstate New York, we really want to share that with you today. So you can see by the points on this, oh, excuse me, I'm missing a map. I'm sorry. We had a map, but we are located all across upstate New York. Now, different parts of New York definitely have their own feel, but some commonalities across the state include things like close-knit communities, a great mix of urban, suburban, and rural areas, local economies that cater to college students and young professionals, booming industries in science and technology, which is great because we're talking about STEM, and also one of my favorites, really great access to nature. Now, students that come to our colleges really appreciate that our campuses are well located, centrally located, close to airports, train stations, and flights to all of our campuses are really easily accessible through major hubs. It's also really easy to get to other places from our campuses, whether you're looking to go to places like New York City or Boston, or even up into Canada to places like Toronto and Montreal, or even down south to, well, down more south to places like Baltimore or Washington, D.C. And of course, you know, a big thing about upstate New York is that we have a 4-season climate with beautiful warm summertime, fantastic fall foliage, really great wonderland type winters, and also, which we're experiencing now, gorgeous springtime bloom season. So experiencing all 4 seasons on our campuses and also in our awesome state parks is something that students really tend to value, even if it does mean putting on some winter boots and winter coats to brave the cold. Now, before I turn the mic over, I do want to let you all know something very important, because I know it's a question on a lot of people's minds. Are our campuses test optional going into next year? And the answer is yes. So all of our campuses, all 5 of us, are test optional, and we can discuss a little bit more what that means as we move forward in this presentation. But I did want to preface to let you know that we all are test optional. And now, without further ado, I would like to turn the mic over to Mark from RIT, who's going to start us off.
Thanks so much, Alex. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Munzer. I'm one of the Senior Associate Directors of Undergraduate Admission. I'm also a STEM alumnus of RIT. I have my degree in Applied Statistics and an MBA. I'm originally from the Syracuse area. But to give you a sense of the Rochester area, Rochester is a city of about 1 million people in the greater area. We're about an hour and a half east of Niagara Falls, 20 minutes south of Lake Ontario, one of the Great Lakes, and we also border the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. Now, the RIT campus is situated in Henrietta, which is a suburb of Rochester, and it is a self-contained residential, very modern campus, as you can see from the photos. It is a very walkable campus, and it's a very residential in nature. Our student population is about 16,000, so we're one of the larger private universities in the US. And we're made up of a variety of different programs, both STEM and non-STEM. You can see our colleges and divisions listed here. Even within some of the non-STEM oriented colleges, there are some STEM intensive programs. Like in our College of Art and Design, we have motion picture science and medical illustration and photographic sciences. Within our business school, we have supply chain management. And within our liberal arts college, there are majors like digital humanities and social sciences. So a very eclectic group of majors at RIT. It is more of a structured curriculum type university where you do have requirements that are in your major, general education requirements, but there is room for electives in all of our programs. It is very easy to add a minor regardless of your major, and many programs you're able to easily accomplish a double major or a bachelor's, master's combination in an accelerated time format. In addition to our undergraduate degree programs, which number almost 100, we have about 80 graduate programs and 9 PhD programs currently. So that's a little bit about the campus and our programs, but in terms of the classroom setting, average classroom size is only 22, and we have a 13:1 student to faculty ratio. So you can go on to the next slide, Alex, please. Each of us are going to share with you some academic highlights of our institutions and some out of the classroom highlights. In terms of RIT, I wanted to talk about some of our hidden STEM majors, as we call them, because they're not that well widely known nationally, but they have very successful career outcomes because there's a high demand for employers for these types of graduates, and not a lot of graduates that have these skill sets. So motion picture science is an example of the merger between imaging science and film. So if you think about films that you watch, these graduates help produce all the special effects, all the color science, all the sound mixing and editing, so all the back-end production aspects of creating films. So it could be called motion picture engineering, really, because you have to have a really strong background in math and science to be a successful student in this program. This would be a BS program, as are all of these programs, Bachelor of Science degrees. Within our computing college, we have a unique major called New Media Interactive Development. That's part of our Interactive Games and Media School. And if you think about all the wearable technologies that are in our lives right now and how things provide us with biofeedback, how they help us get places, how they can have commerce components to them. If you think about the Fast Pass at Disney, that has all your information right on a wristband. And now I heard they're going to be using some facial recognition technology as well, testing that out. So that's a very unique program. Speaking of facial recognition technology, that leads right into the imaging science program. And imaging science can be thought of anything that, all the computing, engineering, and science that goes into any type of imaging system you can imagine. So an imaging system could be something, the camera in your phone, it could be the ring outside of your house, it could be the Mars rover successfully capturing and transmitting images back to Earth. It could be a very sophisticated camera system within an airport where you're trying to track people of interest, for example. It can involve thermal imaging. So many applications are available through the imaging science program, and we offer that through the PhD level. So that's a program to consider if you have a strong interest in computing, math, physics, etc. Microelectronic engineering is in our College of Engineering, and that is the production, design, and development of the next generation of microscopic computer chips. And we use those in all sorts of devices, in our appliances and our cars, and we constantly want them to be smaller and more efficient, more reliable, more powerful. So you can see our mascot there, Richie, in a clean suit, because it does need to be a particle-free environment because they are working with nanotechnologies. And then finally, in our College of Engineering Technology, we have one of the country's few packaging science programs. So if you think about going to the grocery store and that experience, you're surrounded by packages, right? And we're constantly looking to find packages that are more environmentally friendly, that are more usable, and also can be transported effectively, So there's so many components to packaging science. There's also a labeling and graphic aspect of packaging, as well as a marketing aspect. So there's lots of different ways you can take that. We have students that just specialize, for example, in the whole cosmetic industry, because there's packaging involved in that. But if you think about the world that we live in right now and how many things are being shipped, that's also involving a ton of packaging. So it is a multi-billion-dollar industry with a ton of possibilities. Next slide. Outside of the classroom, I want to spotlight RIT's Cooperative Education program. We're one of the 4 largest co-op universities in the US, and we've been doing co-op for over 100 years. Co-op, if you're not familiar with the term, is like an internship, but it's always paid and it's professional level work. So the majority of our majors do require that you go out and work full-time for a company. It could be in Rochester, it could be in your hometown, it could be in another part of the country, and in a non-pandemic time also outside of the country as well. We do not charge tuition during your co-op period, so the earnings that you make from your employer go directly to you. But the biggest benefits really of the co-op experience, and I encourage you, regardless of where you go to college, to examine what type of career supports are in place to help you find co-ops or internships, is that you get a better sense of what you want to do. It could be very much a validation that what you think you want to do is actually what you want to do, but it could also let you know, gosh, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I really didn't like that experience. And that gives you a chance to kind of retool, maybe reset. Do I need to change my major? Do I need to have a different specialization within my major? Or do I just need to try out a different type of employer or a different type of work? So very positive to have those experiences before you graduate rather than afterwards. And another huge benefit is that you're establishing your professional network. So you have more confidence going through a professional job search. You know people in industry. It could lead to future co-op opportunities and in many cases, full-time opportunities before you graduate. So you really have a competitive advantage over students that are just going through a traditional 4 years without a significant out of the classroom experience like a co-op would give you. And joboutlook.rit.edu has great information. And if you drill down into that website, they even have information by major where you can explore career outcomes, including salary outcomes, job titles, and employers that we work with most often. So that can be really powerful information to help you validate what major you're thinking about too, regardless of where you're planning on going to college. So with that, we're gonna head east on the New York State Thruway virtually to my colleague, Jonathan from Syracuse University.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mark. Hi, everybody. Jonathan Hoster with Syracuse University. I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for joining us. Syracuse University is located in Syracuse, New York, right in the heart of New York State. In the city of Syracuse, we have about 15,000 total undergraduate students across 10 different schools and colleges, and a number of really exciting STEM opportunities. So approximately 25 different STEM majors, many of those located in our College of Engineering and Computer Science and our College of Arts and Sciences. We are a Research 1 university, which means we're at the top classification with regard to research. That means there's a lot of cutting edge research happening here and a lot of funding for research. And we have many, many, many undergraduate students engaged in research in significant ways. Some of them get involved in research and present their research at national conferences. Some of them will end up authoring or co-authoring papers in research journals. And sometimes that propels them into graduate school because they decide they really love doing research. So there is an undergrad research center on campus called The Source. That's a really great connection for students to find research funding as well as research opportunities. Study abroad is one of our favorite recommendations as well. Pictured here is Bethany Murphy. She graduated last year with her bachelor's degree in environmental engineering, and she studied abroad on several continents as a student here. So I can't quite keep track of all the places Bethany went, but she had a really amazing undergraduate career. And you can see by her shirt there, she's also a cadet of our Army ROTC program. She's now working on her master's degree through a university in the UK. And when she finishes that, she'll be an officer in the US Army. Student success is really important to us. For instance, in our engineering and computer science school, all of our students have 3 advisors right from the beginning to support and encourage their success. One of those is called a success advisor. One is a faculty advisor, a professor in their major, and one is an engineering and computer science career advisor to work with them specifically on their resume, their cover letters, their applications for internships, co-ops, and jobs, making connections with companies, employers, alumni for mentoring and networking. Our students are landing really great positions in companies across the country, typically in the summer, and they get paid really well for those positions. And so if they're somewhere not near home, that money is typically paying for their housing. And they impress the employers that they're working for with their skill set and their work ethic. And that often leads into full-time job opportunities with those companies. We have some really exciting STEM organizations, about 20 or so, including organizations for each of the engineering disciplines, professional organizations, as well as affinity groups for women, such as the Society of Women Engineers, Alpha Omega Epsilon, which is the engineering sorority, and including affinity groups for students of color, such as the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, the National Society of Black Engineers, and the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I also think the STEM living and learning communities are a really great option for students to live with other students in a similar major as freshmen. This is particularly a great thing for freshmen, because then you're taking a lot of the same classes as the people you live with, and it makes it really logistically easy to do homework together and study together. So all of my freshmen who do that for their housing really, really enjoy it. So if we can go to the next slide, please. This is a fun highlight that I wanted to share with you about our introductory engineering and computer science class. So if you know what kind of engineering you want to do as you're coming into Syracuse University to study engineering, like we'll get you right into your major right away. And so if you tell us you want to do mechanical engineering, your intro class is tailored to that. If you tell us you want to do chemical engineering or electrical engineering, your intro class is tailored to that. So these are some examples from those sections of classes. So in the bottom right are students that are in the civil engineering section of the freshman intro class. So they designed and built and tested that bridge in their class. The student in the middle with the ball in the air, he's in a section of the mechanical engineering intro class for freshmen. And so they design and build this trebuchet, which is like a catapult to shoot balls into hoops. The professor doesn't tell them the distance for all of those trials. They have to do some calculations when they actually get to the event. And in the upper right, you can see Dean Smith. He is the Dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Science. And he was in the classroom teaching a section of our freshman computer science students last semester. So that's just a testament to how important we feel those introductory classes are for freshmen. The Dean was right there with the freshmen last semester. So I think we'll go to the next slide, please. This is a really exciting thing that students can do in the summer. We call it Invent at SU. It's one of many student entrepreneurship opportunities that our students can be engaged in here. It's an invention accelerator. And so what students do in Invent at SU over 6 weeks in the summer is design, prototype, and pitch an original invention. And it's really awesome what they do in this program. The pitching part is just like what we see on Shark Tank. It's inventors getting up in front of judges and pitching their inventions. Russell Fearon, who's pictured here, graduated last year with his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. He's now working on his master's in biomedical engineering. What he's holding there is an invention that he and his classmate Ricardo invented in this program. It's called the SugX. It's a smartwatch that monitors glucose levels for people with diabetes. They invented that during the summer program Invent at SU, and since that time, they've been to many other pitch competitions, both here on campus and other places, and won thousands of dollars towards that invention and the company that they've started. The Blackstone Launchpad, which you see referenced here, is the hub for student entrepreneurship at Syracuse University, which will connect students to these other pitch competition opportunities, as well as legal advice for patenting and whatnot. The Invent website there, I'll give you other examples too. The last thing I wanted to share is a shout out about the sample classes we're doing. So if you take a screenshot of this or a picture or just scribble down that website at the bottom, ecs.syr.edu/ or / I think it is, virtual. We have some sample classes coming up. Tonight we're doing aerospace engineering a little bit later, and then we have computer science tomorrow and lots of other engineering and computer science classes this month for high school students. They're about an hour each with one of our professors. So definitely check that out. I think it would be a fun opportunity. At this point, I'm going to pass the microphone to my colleague Paige North to Clarkson University.
Hi, thank you so much. And thank you, Jonathan. Welcome, everybody. And thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you're having a great spring semester. So we are going to take you actually up north. So we are I would say the most northern college here on our panel this evening. And I've included my absolute favorite picture of our campus. We are located in Potsdam, New York, and we are actually surrounded by 3 other universities in the area. So we're one of 4. We have SUNY Potsdam right down the road from us, St. Lawrence University, and SUNY Canton, which are also located in Canton, New York. We are a STEM heavy university, but not STEM exclusive. With that being said, a lot of foreign language courses and music courses, fine arts courses, we do not offer on our campus, but we have a partnership with the 3 surrounding universities. You can take one class at any of those 3 universities per semester. It's covered under our tuition, and that really helps you to broaden your options and broaden your experiences while you're at Clarkson. And as I said, one of my favorite pictures listed here are shown here on this slide, and it really gives you the sense of where we're located. We are right outside the Adirondacks. We are on the smaller side of universities featured this evening, with about 3,200 undergraduate students, as well as 1,100 graduate students on campus. That gives you a class size roughly around 20 or 25 to 1 on average, especially in more of our STEM heavy courses. In some of our liberal arts majors, you may see closer to about 15 to 1 in a class. So it's really nice. It allows you to get a lot of hands-on experience in the classroom. All of our courses are taught around problem-based learning. So again, a lot of hands-on experience and interaction with your faculty and with classmates as well. And all of our students are required in every single major and program to complete some type of professional experience. So that's mostly looking like internships and co-ops. Research sometimes will fit that as well. And with that being said, even though some of our students will just complete the one requirement, we oftentimes have many of our students completing multiple of these opportunities. And it really helps you to build your resume and be marketable upon graduation. One thing I have to say, and I have to boast about a little bit, is that we did just hear back about our class of 2020 statistics, and we are still at 97% placement. And at Clarkson, when we mention placement, that is going directly into your field of study or going directly onto grad school, whether that's at Clarkson or another university. With that being said, we have over 30 different majors you can choose from. And of those majors, we actually have 5 that are listed as tracks. So if you come into Clarkson and, for example, you really know, I love science, I love math, I'm not exactly sure, I might want to go into engineering, but I don't exactly know what field to get into, that is perfectly fine. That's actually one of 5 tracks. We have a track for engineering studies, business studies, science studies, liberal arts studies, and our university studies, which is really a term for undeclared or undecided that you might hear at other schools. You can stay in that track for the full year, and your advisor works very closely with you to make sure that you are really developing and really seeking out what it is that you want to do over the course of your 4 years at Clarkson. And with that being said, those professional experiences and allowing multiple opportunities for that really make sure for you that you know exactly what it is that you want to go into for your future career. We also have a lot of different minors and concentrations available that really help you to further develop what it is that you want to do for your career and possibly expand your opportunities. And one other thing I'll mention is we do have several pre-professional programs. 3 of those are our pre-physician's assistant, pre-physical therapy, and pre-occupational therapy programs. We also offer those programs at the graduate level, and very happy to announce that we have just started direct entry in those programs, where we're able to select up to 30 students per program and allow you to go directly on to graduate school from our undergrad programs. We also are a very lively campus. So even though we're small, we are not small in terms of student life. You'll see down at the bottom our students celebrating, part of the pep band. D1 men's and women's ice hockey is very popular for us at Clarkson. And with that being said, pep band is also another really popular club. So we have a lot in terms of student life. A lot of our students take advantage of the outdoors as part of the outing club and the ski club, which are 2 of our biggest clubs on campus as well. One final thing to note is that every single one of our students does have the opportunity to study abroad. It's actually a requirement in any one of our business programs. With that being said, again, every student is allowed that option in over 50 university partnerships in about 29 different countries now. So certainly something that you can add in. We always recommend meet with the International Center early on to discuss those opportunities, as well as the Career Center to start off early in your first semester and exploring where you can go in terms of your professional experiences. So with that being said, we'll turn to the next slide. And here's where I'm going to highlight one of 5 departments at Clarkson. So our 5 departments include our School of Engineering, the School of Business. We also have the Institute for Sustainable Environment, which is featured here, as well as our pre-professional department and including our arts and sciences. So ISE, I think it gets a little bit overlooked sometimes, but it's a fantastic department. It includes 3 different majors. 2 are environmental science focused, one in terms of environmental science and health, The other in environmental science and policy, and also environmental engineering falls under this department. Again, all of our programs are based around problem-based learning, and you're actually seeing here how our students are able to get hands-on experience. Some of the experiences that they can get involved with are the Adirondack semester, which is one that I always like to highlight. It is a very heavily research-based semester where students actually stay on Paul Smith's campus, located right in the heart of the Adirondacks on Saranac Lake. And it's absolutely, it's a really great program. I always hear a lot of great feedback from that, and they will take students from all different backgrounds. So you don't necessarily have to be in the ISE department to do that. They will stay for a full semester, and at the end presenting research. You're seeing a couple of students that were involved with that Adirondack semester in these pictures here. We also have an opportunity where our students will go for the summer and research at Devil's Thumb Ranch in Colorado, and a lot of different learning and service trips. So at Clarkson, community service is really something that sticks out to us and something our students stay involved with all of their years on our campus. We have chapters for Doctors Without Borders, as well as a chapter for Engineers Without Borders. And students, as part of that Engineers Without Borders program, often go along with some of our faculty. We have a partnership in Uganda where we're able to help offset carbon emissions, both in Uganda through reforestation and on our campus. So a couple quick things before we move on to the next slide. We're always very happy to promote that we are one of the nation's green campuses, according to the Princeton Review. You really see that when you're on our campus visiting. The other thing that I always like to point out is that we are now running 100% on renewable energy, and we are very, very close to achieving our goal of net emissions, zero net carbon emissions rather, by 2025. So a lot of very exciting things going on our campus. And we'll move to the next slide. So one final thing to highlight before I turn it over to our next university is outside the classroom, all the different opportunities to ignite your future and ignite your career. So at Clarkson, sustainability again is huge. We are also a big proponent of entrepreneurship and innovation. And so the bottom picture you're seeing on the left, Shipley Center for Innovation, they house Clarkson Ignite. They also helped launch our Clarkson Ignite Presidential Fellows Program, which we are now able to offer up to 10 full tuition scholarships for students who can show us that they have an idea to how they're going to ignite their future career. At the bottom left, we actually have on the left of that picture, Matt Hawthorne. He's one of our star students. He actually created his own company and launched it at Clarkson, which is called Tech Apparel. Some of you may have heard of it. They use a lot of sustainable resources and are able to create apparel that way. So he comes back to our campus. He's a collaborator now in the Cube, which actually houses, again, Ignite and several other innovation programs on our campus. And they really help to launch students' future careers, both with financial resources as well as mentorship and non-financial resources. So it's a really great center for our students. Again, Clarkson Ignite is part of that program. We have young entrepreneurs and innovators, which actually falls under Clarkson Ignite. And if you ever want to check out more of what they do and how they help to launch our student careers, you can check out their podcast. They actually have one that runs every single week, which is really exciting. So before I turn it over to our next university, just a quick announcement. We are, this may be something that all of our panelists will announce tonight, but we are actually allowing for in-person visits on campus. So I will drop my email at the very end of this presentation. If you ever want to come and visit our campus in person and take a tour, you are certainly welcome to do that at this time. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Susan from Union College.
Thanks, Paige. We are moving down or south in New York State into the Capital District. So Union College is located in Schenectady, New York, which is a small city, about 67,000 people. We're about 20 minutes from the state capital of Albany. Schenectady allows us to have our students be able to enjoy a very strong sense of community on our campus, but just a 10-minute walk into the resources of a small city. We are the oldest and the smallest college that you're going to hear about tonight. We have 2,200 undergraduate students. We were founded in 1795, so we are in our 3rd century. And we are a liberal arts college that also offers extensive STEM opportunities. About half of our students are going to major in something in a math, science, or engineering. And this allows students to really delve very deeply into these areas. We have 4 ABET accredited engineering programs, mechanical, electrical, computer and biomedical engineering, and extensive science programs as well. We also are proud that we offer an 8-year accelerated medical program with Albany Medical College. And so that really allows students to delve very deeply again into the sciences. But one of the things that I think is really important to note about Union is that about 80% of our students are going to be pursuing more than one academic discipline. So if you're the type of student who has a strong interest in engineering and technology, that is wonderful. You'll be able to meet those needs at Union. But if you're also that student who enjoys studying a language, interested in economics, studying theater, or being involved with the music program, Union blends these things. It allows you to integrate all of your academic disciplines. We have a number of interdisciplinary programs that students certainly pursue, including the environmental science, policy and engineering program, our program in neuroscience, as I mentioned, our biomedical engineering, as well as a brand new minor in data analytics, which we are finding students from across the college are taking advantage of. One of the things that has been very special in the last year at Union is behind me, you will see our new $100 million integrated science and engineering complex. It was completed just last winter. We also recently announced a $50 million gift from the Templetons. He majored in electrical engineering at Union and is the CEO of Texas Instruments, and his wife was a computer science major. And so that money is going to develop the Templeton Institute for Engineering and Computer Science, really trying to focus and attract more women into the STEM field, which is obviously quite exciting. We go to the next slide, please. Other 2 things that are really important to note about Union in the academic areas are the connections that you're making. As a small school, you will certainly have small classes. Our faculty to student ratio is 1 to 10, and our average introductory classes are about 21 students, and upper level classes average 14 students. So from day one, you're going to engage in the classroom environment, whether that be in the engineering program, in a science, in social science, or the humanities. You will have our professors teaching all of the classes because we are strictly an undergraduate college. So there are no teaching assistants and there are no graduate assistants. So even as a student in engineering or a student in the sciences, you will have the professor who's teaching that lab of 12 students. And so you'll be able to connect with the faculty on a number of different levels. Because of this, you will make those connections with faculty, whether they be your academic advisor, who you will have from day one. Perhaps it will be a professor who has brought you into research that they are doing. Perhaps it will be a professor who is leading one of our many study abroad programs. Or perhaps it will be a professor who is actually serving as the advisor to an organization like the Society of Women Engineers, or many of the other academically focused clubs or organizations that we have. There are 3 main immersive experiences that many of our students will undertake. I mentioned research. All of our professors are teaching classes, but they are all staying current in their field and conducting research. So as early as the beginning or the end of your first year, students are able to get involved with the research that the professors are doing. And so many of our students have been able to co-author papers with professors or go to national or regional conferences to present their research. We have a celebration at Union called the SciMed Symposium, which happens in the end of May each year. And this is where we celebrate undergraduate research. And so in a year, we are having about 500 students presenting research on each SciMed Day. That is about a quarter of the student body who is presenting research. And I can tell you that our winter term just ended. Most of our seniors just turned in their senior thesis or revealed their senior projects. And so huge weights have been lifted off their shoulders as they are just now, I guess, enjoying their spring term at Union. 85% of our students will also take at least one internship during their 4 years. We know it's really important for students to have that hands-on experience in applying what they're learning in the classroom elsewhere. A number of these internships are in the local area, but many of the students serve in their internships during the summer or during the month of December when our classes are not being held. Our Becker Career Center is a wonderfully welcoming office, and they will start working with students as early as the first year to guide them through that process and use the connections that they're making with Union alumni to find those internships and have those experiences outside the classroom. 60% of our students will also be studying abroad. And so that is open to all students from all undergraduate majors, including 60% of our engineering students who do study abroad. Next slide, please. I just want to highlight one student at Union, and she kind of brings together all of those things that I have just mentioned. Jenny majored in mechanical engineering and minored in math and German. She was very involved with her study of German. She spent a term in Germany. She actually did an internship in Bremen, Germany during the summer one year. She was a member of our varsity swim team. She was president of the German club. She was a Minerva mentor, which is a program at Union that allows students to mentor underclassmen. She was also very involved in planning Oktoberfest on campus. So our students do have fun as well as be involved with the research and the academic program. She is now a graduate student in a doctoral program at UCSD in mechanical engineering. So certainly the research that she was able to conduct at Union certainly helped her to gain that entrance into a selective graduate program. So that just tells a little about Union. You balance the academics with all those other things that are going on, and you can pursue a number of different academic programs while at Union. So now I'm going to pass you across the Capital District to my colleague at RPI and Alex.
Thanks so much, Susie. All right, I will bring us home. Just a reminder, I'm Alex, Assistant Director of Admissions at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. By now, you have seen a ton of commonalities between our campuses, so I'll be sure to keep this short. But I'm really excited to share so much of what we have to offer at Rensselaer. So Rensselaer, or RPI as we are sometimes known, is a medium-sized research and STEM institution. We have around 6,200 undergraduate students and 1,600 graduate students, and we're located in Troy, New York. Our students come from all 50 states and around 20 countries at the undergraduate level. Rensselaer itself is located on a hill with very great sunset views overlooking the city of Troy, and our campus is about a 15-minute walk end to end. Troy itself is a small city. It's about 50,000 people, so it feels more like a large town with a lot of history. We're actually the birthplace of Uncle Sam and often referred to as the collar city because we used to be a manufacturing center for shirt collars back in the 1800s. The city of Troy sits across the Hudson River from Albany, which is New York's capital, and Rensselaer itself is the oldest technological institution in North America. We were founded in 1824, and the whole purpose of our education from the get-go was to help people learn to apply science to the common purposes of life. Now, obviously, over the nearly 200 years that we have existed, we've evolved and we have modernized our focus and the focus of our education as a whole. So these days, a Rensselaer education is one that acknowledges and harnesses the power of technological growth and change. Our alumni have made strides in a number of relevant areas, and you most likely have interacted with some type of product or idea that has originated from an RPI alum, including email, the Ferris wheel, sunscreen, the digital camera. I found out a few months ago that the co-founder of Garmin got his master's here. So we have a very rich history of alumni who've gone on to do what our motto says, which is, why not change the world? Now at Rensselaer, we are made up of 5 schools, all coexisting on this one campus. Our School of Engineering makes up about 50 to 60% of our student population, and it is ABET accredited. We have our School of Science, which is about 30% of our students. Our Lally School of Management, which is our AACSB accredited business school. Our School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, which is home to a ton of different interdisciplinary degrees. And our School of Architecture. Each of those last 3 have about 5% of our student population. All of our students take courses in any of these schools. Just because you apply to a specific major, you have a specific major, does not mean you are siloed in that school. In fact, interdisciplinary education is a really big part of what we do. When you apply to RPI, you can apply to a specific major. You can apply undeclared to one of these schools, or you can apply undeclared as a whole. We have a number of supports on our campus, especially things that we call advising hubs, for you to really dig in and figure out what you want to do. We offer 11 different engineering programs alone, and that's a lot to know what you want to do right when you get here. So we're really big on making sure that we have the supports and the opportunities for you to explore. Now, because the goal of our education is to facilitate your growth into creative problem solvers, like I said, we really try to take an interdisciplinary approach to your education. In order to be a strong problem solver, we know that you must be able to look at the complex challenges that our society faces from multiple angles and multiple perspectives. And the career fields that our students go into require them to do just that, to not just stare at a problem and use math and science to figure it out, but to seek outside and to use perspectives outside of that. There are so many ways that our interdisciplinary education shows up, whether it's in concentrations or in minors or in dual majors. And we have a large number of students looking to personalize their education and combine areas that they're interested across the board. We do also have a humanities, arts, and social sciences core, which allows our students to dig deeper into different subjects that aren't their centralized major, while still, being able to have a number of perspectives and a number of experiences by the time they graduate. Now, we are getting short on time, so I do want to shift to our off-campus spotlight, which is the Arch. The Arch is a shifted academic calendar at Rensselaer that allows our students the ability to engage in a 4-year education while also having a full semester dedicated to some type of professional immersion experience. The way we do this is by moving one of our semesters into the summer between sophomore and junior year, and taking one of those junior year semesters as what we call an away semester. During that away semester, our students pursue all different types of professional immersion. Many of them go on to do co-ops or internships. Many also choose to do things like research. Research is obviously big on our campus, and still others choose independent learning opportunities. We have architecture majors who choose to spend their semester building a tiny house. We have business majors spending that semester pursuing the growth of their own business. So it really depends on what you're interested in. It's a fully personalizable major, but by the time you are through with that major, the biggest piece is that you have that professional experience, which many of my colleagues have already discussed this evening. The Arch does translate into your future plans at RPI. Around 85% of our students are pursuing their goals within 6 months of graduation. 65% of those students are going directly into their industry, with the other 20% going on to graduate or professional schools. The average starting salary for Rensselaer graduates is right around $74,000, which is well above the national average. And I'm going to wrap it up right there because we do not have a lot of time. I see that we didn't have any group questions. So I will invite all of my colleagues back here if they want to come on camera. And I see that they've all been sending information about campus visits as well, which is awesome. So I hope that you all take advantage of those opportunities. And if anyone wants to offer in this last minute before we close out, if anyone has any last words or potentially advice for any of our listeners, I think that would be wonderful. Not to put you on the spot.
I will just say that there are lots of wonderful opportunities in upstate New York. So we do hope that all of you will come up. You can make one road trip and hit all 5 of our schools very easily.
Thank you. And it is 5:44. Eastern time. So I will turn it back over to Christopher, I believe.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much to all of our panelists. Before we do wrap up this session, just a few quick housekeeping items. First of all, certainly thank you to all of our attendees for joining us this evening and a great opportunity to listen to some great presentations. We do want to remind you that when you close this window, you will receive a very quick 4-question survey that we ask you to take a minute to complete. And there are additional sessions this evening as well as sessions tomorrow. So please feel free to sign up for those if you have yet to do so. And about 1 week from today, a recording of this session will be available on that same registration website. But thank you again to our great panelists, and thank you to our attendees, and good luck in your college search. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.